We're not done with Pakistan yet. India is facing a new challenge from Pakistan's military. This one is coming on the high seas. Pakistan's Navy is rapidly expanding its fleet and deploying more ships in India's backyard. The generals in Pakistan have an ambitious plan for their Navy. They aim to create a 50-ship Navy. But to what end? What is the goal behind this modernization drive? To reshape the balance of power in the region. Reports say the Pakistani Navy is aggressively adding new boats. But we know that Islamabad struggles to pay its electricity bills. So how can they afford new boats? Who is helping them? As always, it's the Chinese. China is equipping Pakistan's Navy. Says who? India's Navy chief, among others. That's Admiral Dinesh Tripathi. He said that New Delhi is carefully monitoring these developments.
We are aware about the growth, surprising growth of Pakistan Navy, and they aim to become a 50-ship force by some time, by next decade. Seeing the economy of Pakistan, it is very surprising that how they are building or getting so many ships and submarines. Obviously, they have decided to choose weapons over welfare of their people. So, good luck to them.
They chose weapons over people. Very well put. That's the story of Pakistan in 5 words. But coming back to the naval expansion, let's look at how it began. The foundations were laid in 2015 when Pakistan and China signed a contract. It was for 8 submarines. 4 were supposed to be built in China. The other 4 were to be assembled in Karachi. This contract was worth $5 billion. Now, the deliveries of these subs has begun. The first submarine arrived in Pakistan in the month of April. Another 3 are expected by 2028. Reports say China could be delivering or could be looking at delivering 1 submarine to Pakistan every year. Plus, there are upgrades in the pipeline. Pakistan plans to add a total of 50 new ships by the next decade. Out of these, 20 will be major warships. Now, most of these will be supplied by China, but there are 2 other suppliers in the mix, Turkey and Romania. Pakistan has expressed willingness to acquire some vessels from them as well. Again, the question is, where is the money coming from? Who is going to foot the bill for this? Islamabad certainly cannot afford a naval expansion. The government is struggling to balance its finances. There is a $2.5 billion gap in the budget. Last month, a team from the IMF traveled to Islamabad, the International Monetary Fund. They traveled to discuss the funding shortfall. Remember, Pakistan is part of an IMF bailout program. The country has been bailed out for a record 23 times by the IMF. That's the highest for any country. And guess what? They've already filed another bailout request. They're asking for bailout number 24. So clearly, a naval expansion seems impractical. But this is Pakistan. The army is likely to have its way. Despite its financial troubles, Pakistan's military never faces budget constraints. It doesn't matter who's in power. Rawalpindi always gets a blank check. Take this year, for instance. Pakistan's budget for defense was hiked by nearly 15%. I'll repeat that. The budget was hiked, defense budget, by 15%. So India cannot afford to take this lightly. It must prepare to counter Pakistan on the high seas. The Indian Navy has its own expansion plan in the works. It wants to get 6 new nuclear-powered subs. The government has already approved plans to build 2 of them. Additionally, plans are also in place to get new fighter jets for the Navy.
62 ships and 1 submarine is under construction in various DPSUs, PSUs, and private shipyards in the country. And there is an acceptance of necessity for 31 more ships and submarines.
India's next major military challenge is likely to emerge from the high seas. This threat has been brewing for some time now. China is intensifying pressure campaigns. Its military vessels and spy ships are encroaching on waters near India's borders. Now, Beijing has taken this campaign a step further. It is arming Pakistan to open another front against India. The strategy is quite clear: to create a 2-pronged maritime threat. India's upcoming naval upgrades are much needed to counter this rising challenge.